Greetings and welcome back, gentles and ladiesmen, to episode 3 of Let's Play Metroid Prime 2 Echoes. I'm ExoParadigmGamer, of course, and here, starting off the part, we've got a mini-boss. And it's not too difficult. This is the Alpha Sand Digger. This appears to be a Sand Digger pack leader, a bit larger and stronger than the normal members of its kind. Target both of its heads to damage it. Fairly similar to the regular guys. So, target the head, strafe around, dodge the attacks. And not too long into the fight, it gets possessed by an Ing. Which makes you wonder why the fight just didn't start out that way, but this isn't just any old Ing, no siree. It takes a little while longer to scan it for some reason. This Darkling Sand Digger has absorbed the ability to generate morph ball bombs. It can throw bombs with considerable accuracy, and frequently lays a spread of bombs in its wake. Its head and tail are the only vulnerable spots on its body. Target them when they are vulnerable to neutralize and terminate this enemy. So, this guy's a little different from the standard Sand Digger. You have to target its butt first, shoot it with charge shots to damage it quickly, then follow up with a charge shot on its face to actually damage it. Good way to know if you're doing real damage or not. If the enemy glows yellow, that means that you're hitting like a defensive shell. If it glows red, that means that you're actually hurting it. Just a nice attention to detail that I like. Because there are some games where they just don't bother, and you never know if you're doing any damage or not, or like anything, because like the enemy doesn't really react. I'm glad that the Prime series doesn't have that problem, or any other Metroid game for that matter. So the thing about the Guardian bosses is that they are actually the Ing that attacked Samus in the beginning of the game with that cutscene with Dark Samus. All the Guardian enemies have absorbed one of your powers and are using it against you. And the Bomb Guardian obviously is using the Morph Ball bombs. And upon defeating them, you were rewarded with that power that they stole. Which I thought thematically it was a pretty cool idea. The fact that Samus has to sort of face off against her own powers that are being harnessed by these strange amorphous villains that can possess people. I'd say that like out of all of the parasites, all of the evil alien creatures that the Metroid universe has had to offer, the Ing are probably my favorite. Because they can do everything the X can, and they're also sentient at the same time. Whereas the X could possess the intelligence of the people that they got. But I don't know, I guess I find maybe for just the dark and light motif, I find the Ing very interesting foes for Samus to face. And speaking of Metroid Fusion, they did something similar to this game where like all of the bosses that you fought would actually use the same, like every boss you fought, like for example, what was it called? The Yakuza, the spider boss that you fight in the I think it's in the power generator area outside of Sector 2. That thing actually uses the space jump in battle. And once you defeat it, what do you get? Space jump. Looks like we got something over here. Dead Luminoth went out fighting. That's basically what it says. You can pause the video if you want to read it. Luminoth Hall Projector Online. And here we get a little message from that Luminoth. Welcome, I am I-Sha, Sentinel of the Agon Temple. This message survives my death as guidance to one who would fight the Ing. A portal to Dark Ether lies nearby. With it, you can travel to this land's shadow. You must locate a Dark Temple, a twisted mockery of this sacred place. Inside, you will find the energy controller you seek. The temple door is held fast by 3 locks. The keys for these locks are hidden throughout that dark land. Your search will be difficult. Even the very air of Dark Ether is dangerous and can cripple the strongest of warriors. In our past struggles with the Ing, we placed a series of light crystals throughout their world. They remain today. These crystals create safe areas that will protect you from the harmful atmosphere of the dark world. I've updated your translator module. You can now access devices and doors coated with amber holograms. More lands are open to explore. When you have taken the energy from the Dark Temple, return here at once. May the light of ether serve you well. So essentially what I-Sha was saying here is that, and that's sort of going to be describing the formula of this game in a nutshell. But before I get into that, I know for a fact that there is lore in here. There it is. Ether was a fertile, aged world with bountiful fields and oceans. The native creatures were gentle compared to other worlds we had encountered. We settled in a mountain region at first and cliffside dwellings. In time we established settlements in the green forest of Torvis and the fertile plains of Agon. A great temple was built between our three domains, a place of peace and a monument to our accomplishments. It was a time of harmony for our people. Yeah. And here's the thing about the lore in this game is that they're kind of, the way that they're spread out, it's kind of out of order in the way that you'll find them. I don't feel like, I mean, it takes more effort than it's worth to like find them all in order. I feel like it's something that you know, you can more or less jump into and sort of get what's going on. I don't know. Point is, I'm too lazy. is basically what I'm saying. But back to what I was talking about before. Oh, I should probably sum up what I-Sha said first. Okay, one thing at a time. Basically what I'm trying to say is, I like that, you know, the Inger sort of fighting you with your own weapons and you sort of got to reclaim them that way. And I like that sort of aspect in both Fusion and this game. But I think this game does it maybe a little better because, like, the way that they set it up is it's like they're literally using your weapons, whereas in Fusion it's just like you fight this boss and then the boss uses an attack that's kind of like something that you have. I don't know. I like it. But now that we have the Amber hologram reader, we can open this door and read certain types of lore that we couldn't before. So we'll be doing that. And in here, you'll want to go in here as soon as possible because there is a missile expansion, which of course raises our capacity to 5. Now, I believe what we need to do next is there will be... Yes, we want to go down over here. If I can figure out where I jump up. Let's see. Yes, over this way. And there will be a bunch of kinetic orb cannons that will basically shoot you up here. Now, one of the things about Prime 1 that I've honestly found kind of distracting over my many playthroughs is the way it disguised loading. I'm glad that there were no load screens in that game. I'm glad that they tried to keep the pace up. And especially if you're playing the Wii version, the load times are so much better in both the first 2 games that they somehow got worse for Prime 3. Whatever. Regardless, the way that they disguise loading is that they'd have these sort of S-shaped rooms that you'd have to walk through that basically exist just to fill time while it loads another room that's bigger than the one you were just at. And, oh, looks like the Aang are going for space pirates now. Look at him trying to shoot. And if you're curious about whether the Ink can possess Samus, we may or may not get an answer to that at some point in this playthrough, but they do try, and I do like that they added that particular detail. But pirate troopers, already trained to follow orders without question, were perfect candidates for Ink possession. Darklings moved to take every trooper they could, expanding the army of the Horde tremendously, considerably. How did I misread that? Space pirate technology struck a chord with the Ing, who now hunt actively for gadgetry of any kind, especially weapon systems. So, I probably should have said something about this earlier, but essentially lots of enemies in this game will have a dark and light variant. The light variant is generally easier and is weak to certain types of weapon systems, while the dark variant is slightly harder and is weak to other types of weapons. So what you want to do is just sort of figure out which weapon is better for which situation, and, Okay, so now we have a puzzle. I think this is going to be the last thing we do before we end things. We have another piece of lore. The main energy controller was built in the Great Temple. 3 sub-controllers were built in the temples of Torvus, Agon, and Sanctuary. They collected the energy of ether, then radiated it over the world to all who needed it. In time, we came to call this precious energy the light of ether. It brought an age of peace and prosperity to the Luminoth. So whenever the sentinels in the temples are saying, may the light of aether do blah blah blah, they're referring to the planetary energy in all actuality. So, while we're doing this puzzle, I might as well sort of go over some things. Oh, it's playing the Space Pirate theme in the background. I kind of like the version from this game. I like that they used the same song from Prime 1, but they remixed it with different instruments, so it sounds more menacing. I like that. I like it when different games in a trilogy can sort of, remix a song and, sort of make it sort of fit with the motifs and theming of that game. It's cool. The, let's see, yeah, the Donkey Kong Country trilogy did that pretty well. Let's see, there is a hive somewhere, but I don't see it. So basically what I-Sha was telling us back at the temple, and I can't believe it's taken me so long to talk about this, is that each area in Metroid Prime 2 Echoes has a temple in it. And there's a version of that temple in both the dark and light ethers. So basically what you gotta do is you've gotta travel to the dark temple in the dark ether version of each area. You gotta collect in order to gain access to that temple, you have to find 3 keys that are just lying around dark ether. Once you find the keys, you can enter the temple and grab the energy, and then come back to bring it back to the light world to slowly finish off dark ether, bit by bit. And that is essentially what you will be doing for most of this game. It's different structure than many Metroid games, and I can understand why some people may not like that they might prefer something a little more traditional. As for me, I think I don't find any aspect of it particularly annoying or, like not fun to play or anything like that. I still find that, there's plenty of exploration in this game, plenty of puzzle solving, plenty of using new weapons to solve different situations and defeat enemies in new ways. There are plenty of boss fights. As far as I'm concerned, everything that I like about Metroid and everything I liked about Prime 1 for that matter is here and accounted for, different structure of the game aside. And I don't know, I can understand why some people may not care for it, but that's my 2 cents on the subject for now anyway. So I think this is where I'm going to end this part, because we'll be doing some new things once we go through that gate, so I feel like it's as good a place to cut it off as any. Kind of leave an incentive for you guys to come back. So join me next time when we go through this gate and see Dark Ether for the first time. And we'll certainly be discussing what goes on in that place. Now, I will see you guys next time.